Am I the butthole for refusing to take my sister and her kids in unless her husband stays out? Grammar. So, my female, 32 father passed 2 years ago. He left me and my half-sister, we both have different moms same dad, inheritance that was equally split between me and her. My sister spent her inheritance money in just few months. She's a stam with 2 kids and always had financial hardship. I haven't touched my inheritance money. I live in an apartment that I inherited from my biological mom in 2016. My sister sat me down to talk about her and her husband's current situation. She said her husband can no longer pay rent, and they needed a place to stay. I asked for time to think since me and her husband don't get along. She said it was okay. The next day she showed up with her tone completely changed. She said her husband thinks I'm being manipulative by taking time to think about letting them come. And that my apartment is an inheritance, and she's my sister. Therefore, I should share it with her and the kids. She said her husband also says that if I wasn't going to let my sister share the apartment, then I should give her my half of my dad's inheritance, saying it's not fair since my sister doesn't work, has 2 kids and will soon be homeless, while I have a paying job, no kids, and a whole apartment to myself. I was speechless. I opened the argument by saying the apartment was for mom and mom never related to my half-sister, so she has no right to her inheritance. Also, she already had her half of dad's inheritance, so she can't touch mine just because her husband thinks so. She started crying, telling me to think about my nephews. Again, parroted her husband's words, saying I have 2 options, I either let them move in or give them support money from my inheritance. I said she and the kids can move in, but her husband? No. He's banned from my place. She pitched a fit, saying she can't believe I wanted to keep the kids' father away from them. And I'm the reason they'll be homeless for refusing, but I flipped out and said that I'm not, but it's her deadbeat of a husband that she keeps repeating his nasty words instead of holding him accountable for the crappy situation they're in. I told her I won't continue to speak to her since her husband speaks for her. She left after the blow-up. Days later I discussed this with my stepmom, and she said she couldn't believe I cut contact with my sister only for asking for help and that I needed to see her soon and arrange for one of the 2 options to be considered. Reminding me that innocent kids are involved even if my brother-in-law can be rude to me. But I'm standing my ground on letting him into my place after what he said. Am I the butthole? My sister is younger than me, Tilda. She's 26 and her kids are 25. I love my sister. I have a good relationship with her and the kids and stepmom for years. I don't want this to ruin it now. Edit, Tilda, because I see this question being asked. My stepmom is now living with her family and brother-in-law has been in no contact with them, so it's unlikely to let them move with them. Edit 2, Tilda, look, I love my sister and my nephews so much. I treat my nephews as my own kids and I did help in the past because I know my sister and my nephews are struggling. However, I'm quite upset because of how she talked to me, but I know that it was her husband who was talking to me that day, not her, since she kept repeating his words. Not the butthole. Do not let them move in and take advantage of you, and do not give up your inheritance. She blew the money. She can get a job. Original poster. I'd like to point out that even if it's unfortunately your nephews that suffer, you probably chose a smart move, because having that deadbeat of a man in your house would mean constant strife. Having that deadbeat of a man in your house would mean constant strife. He'd likely soon think that he has the final say because he's the man of the house. I personally wouldn't even let the sister stay. One day when original poster came home from work, she'd find sister had moved her husband in. I bet he'd also try to get his hands on original poster's inheritance. Original poster replies, "Yeah, me and my brother-in-law have been having issues for years." Original poster replies, "I don't like to see him nor strike conversations with him when I visit my sister and my nephews. Nowadays I don't visit much and it's because of him, and it's a shame. Me and my sister and stepmom have always had a bond. I don't want it to be ruined. As long as he's in your sister's ear, your relationship with her should get some extra distance. I wouldn't take advice from her mother either. Honestly, her first priority is her daughter. That man is going to move in and take you for a ride. Your home. Your peace." The fact that she thinks them making this kind of demands is reasonable is a proof of that. Not the butthole. Don't let any of them in. They will become squatters and claim a right to your apartment. This is a recipe for disaster. Right. He's a total grifter, barking out of his butt. His demands are ludicrous. Sister and her evil hubby can work. Even before I saw some of your comments, I knew your brother-in-law was going to be an abuser. At minimum, he's mentally and financially abusive to her. It sounds like she isn't even close to accepting the reality of her relationship, which means she will always do what brother-in-law wants, no matter how dangerous or toxic it is. The only time I'd even consider letting her and the kids stay with you is when she's ready to escape her abuser. Even then, most go back numerous times before they're finally successful. I'm sorry, but as long as brother-in-law is with your sister, that bond has no chance. When the time is right, the only thing you can do is let her know you'll always be ready and waiting with open arms when she's ready to get out. That is when your bond will have a chance to revive, and help her remember what actual love is. I'm so sorry, original poster, but you can't save her until she's ready to save herself. Oh, that's cute of stepmom telling you to pick one of the options sister gave you. I'm sure if stepmom can have sister move in, or she has money she can lend since she's so thoughtfully volunteering your apartment and money. Stepmom just doesn't want this to be her problem, so she's demanding you solve it. Don't do anything. Keep your money and let them figure out housing. It won't be your fault if it is, though. It's on them for thinking they're entitled to either impose on your home or demand your money because you're not living your life spending every cent you get your hands on and therefore don't need the money. They're not entitled to you bailing them out of their poor decisions, and they're certainly not entitled to dictate the terms of that bailout if you choose to give it. Also, it is absolute BS that so many people keep telling original poster they have to choose from the two options presented. That is manipulative. There are so many options open to original poster, sister and brother-in-law are just being demanding. Also would like to point out that if she moves in, she'll never move out. Not the butthole. Your sister made her choices, not working, having children. Her worst choice is that she's letting her husband speak for her. You have what they want, so you are in the right to give the options to them. 1. Stay but no brother-in-law, or 2. Don't come. If the brother-in-law is a half-decent person, he'll send his family to you while he sorts himself out. 5. Internet Buck says he won't. And just cry about original poster putting his family on the street rather than find a job. 10. Internet Buck says he's there at the apartment every time PP goes to work and eventually starts just being there when she gets home and refuses to leave, saying he's been living there as well and makes it to where the cops won't be able to just force him to leave. I can actually see her sister moving brother-in-law in without OPS knowledge while she's at work one day. And once they're in, she's never getting rid of them. They'll claim rights, and she'll have to try to go through a long, expensive, and exhausting eviction process. If the brother-in-law is a half-decent person. Narrator, he wasn't. Not the butthole, and go for option 3, no help. She cannot afford to be a stay-at-home mom and needs to get a job. Why doesn't her mother take her in? Original poster replies. Her mom is now living with her family. Brother-in-law has gone no contact with the family because of the so many fights. So what you are saying is that your stepmom won't take brother-in-law either, but expects you to? I take option 3. Let her sort her own mess out. They are trying to take advantage of you. We won't help them, but you have to think about the kids. Isn't that so reasonable, laughing out loud? Like having kids and bad finances is anyone else's problem. Those people are so delusional, I just can't. Or the controversial option 4. Help them pay rent in their current apartment, so they aren't homeless for 2 or 3 months, making them aware of the timeline, so the parents can find work during that time. If they don't like any of those options, just go low contact with those obnoxious users. I know you two were close, but she chose her deadbeat husband over you. She and stepmother are willing to let him disrespect and pressure you. You're just free money to them. Low contact until it all blows over, and G9 from there. Not the butthole, be strong. If you choose this option, original poster, pay the rent directly. Do not give them cash. Not the butthole. They said there were only 2 options. They missed the not your problem option. Literally, their financial decisions are their decisions, not your repercussion. Your stepmother can take them in. They can go to a homeless shelter. Stealing your money and taking over your apartment are not options on the table. Yelling at you should automatically equal a door slamming in their faces. If your sister starts parroting the husband, slam that door. They need to deal with their lousy decisions. Original poster replies. I know, and although I was shocked by what she said, they're her husband's words and my sister can be easily manipulated. Original poster replies. Her husband must be in her ear 247, so I understand that she thinks of me as unsupportive and selfish right now and I feel bad for the kids, I really do, but her husband will never be allowed inside my apartment. She is an adult. Time for her to use her own brain. Especially when kids are involved. Don't cut her too much slack. She is victimizing her kids and trying to victimize you too. She is an adult and a mother. It's her responsibility to provide housing, food and clothing for her children. You were beyond helpful and gave her an option to provide these things, but instead she's chosen her husband and his BS. I would absolutely cut contact at this time. Be aware that if you let your sister in, it's only a matter of time before he comes to visit the kids and then just stays this one night and then he never leaves. I'd also look into what tenancy laws you have in your area. Once your sister establishes tenancy in your house, it's going to be impossible to keep the husband out. Just stop. She's not a puppet, she's a person. He's not a magician who put her in a hypnotic trance. She is telling you this stuff because she agrees with it. I understand that you want to make her an innocent victim of his evil manipulations, so that you can still hold on to the relationship you have with her. But all you are doing is holding on to a fantasy, and enabling their crafty behavior. As an adult, she needs to learn that the consequence of sticking by this asshat of a husband is that she will burn bridges and lose friends and family. Maybe if enough of you take her to task for it instead of enabling her, she'll finally realize that the guy is dragging her down and ditch his butt. But she'll never get there if you're always pretending she's not a part of this buttholery, too. Not the butthole. You need to stop contact with both your sister and stepmom. It is not your responsibility to pay for their financial problems. If they don't have the money for rent, sounds like someone needs to get a job or a second job. Do not allow them to move in and do not give them money. Not your responsibility. Also, if stepmom is her mom, then she can move them in with her or finance them herself. Not the butthole. You can't let any of them in now. If you let your sister and the kids stay, as soon as you go out they'll let brother-in-law in, and he'll refuse to leave. You won't be able to get him out. Your sister is as much of a leech as her husband. The kids are innocent but have crap parents. Block all of them. Not the butthole. Your stepmom is on the wrong side of this disagreement. Funny how so many people want to be generous with someone else's money. Give your sister's number to your stepmom, so she can offer them her money and a place to stay. Original poster replies. To be fair, my stepmom isn't being pushy or mean to me about it, but she just thinks I could in a way help my sister out. My stepmom is struggling herself, she lives with her family, but brother-in-law cut contact with the family because of their fights together. So now you're okay with the fact that she wants you to give your sister your half of the inheritance? It's up to you, but once you give, the demands will never stop. AITA, and don't expect any gratitude for your efforts. Not the butthole. Stick to your guns, babe. I'd literally laugh in my sister's face if she dropped some crap like this. When my husband split and left me and my kid to figure crap out, I didn't go looking for handouts. I got a job. It didn't pay well, but just accepting that you're going to be homeless? Nah. Not the butthole. For so many reasons. First, you are not responsible for the poor financial planning for your sister. The fact you are willing to help her out at all is a huge kindness. Second, her husband is abusive as F to her and through her you, so maintaining your boundaries with him is important and you are doing great with that. Third, dangling 2 kids in front of you is a dick move that she is doing and not fair to anyone. Fourth, you offered her a perfectly plausible and reasonable way to help, and she declined it. So that's on her. In all. So very much not the butthole. Original poster replies. He's 8 years older than my sister. And I've seen some signs of abuse with how he treats her and the kids. To be honest, Just reading your initial post, it was pretty obvious how unhealthy that relationship dynamic is. Don't let him into your house under any circumstances. And if your sister moves, and get it in writing that as part of the agreement he is not allowed onto your property. Things could go sideways very quickly otherwise. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.